Originally, Luo Ji had only intended to intimidate Chu Tiannan, maybe scare him off with a warning. After all, his own father was a prominent warrior. Surely, anyone with common sense would recognize the name and back down. But Chu Tiannan didn't even spare him a glance. Without hesitation, he turned and walked away, guiding the quiet Luo heir beside him. The passing students slowed their steps to observe. Curious eyes followed the tension unfolding, many settling on Luo Ji, not with admiration, but with subtle pity. How laughable! A voice rang out from the crowd. A tall, broad-shouldered young man stood with arms crossed, radiating quiet strength. He looked calm, but the smirk on his lips betrayed his interest. This was Lu Hai, one of the 5 elite students of the Warrior Academy. Stronger than Luo Ji, and entirely unconcerned by his reputation. "Looks like we've got a good show," Lu Hai said lazily, his eyes gleaming with anticipation. No way that guy's walking away that easily. Sure enough, Luo Ji's face flushed with rage as Chu Tiannan continued walking. His pride ignited, and he snapped. "Chu Tiannan!" Chu Tiannan didn't stop. "Bastard! You dare ignore me?" With a roar, Luo Ji's body surged forward. His foot stomped the ground, launching himself at Chu Tiannan with surprising speed, leg raised for a flying kick. Boom! The impact was fierce, but didn't land clean. Chu Tiannan had turned just in time, lifting his arm to block the kick. The force drove him back several steps before he regained his footing. "Huh, look at that." Luo Ji laughed triumphantly. "Even a weakling like you can't take a light kick. What a joke." But Chu Tiannan's gaze darkened. He hadn't truly fought back yet. His earlier retreat was intentional. He hadn't wanted to reveal his strength. He had even been willing to give Luo Ji some face. But now, you're asking for this. Don't blame me. Chu Tiannan's fist clenched, veins bulging slightly. With a low growl, he launched a powerful counterstrike, the air howling from the force behind it. Just before the fists could collide. "Stop!" A thunderous voice shattered the moment. Both fighters froze instantly, fists suspended in the air, only inches apart. The wind from Chu Tiannan's punch blew against Luo Ji's face and robes, but the latter didn't flinch. His glare remained locked onto Chu Tiannan. A middle-aged man rushed over, his sharp gaze sweeping across both students. "Who told you to fight on academy grounds? Do you want to be punished?" Still not letting go, he barked. "TCH." The two withdrew their fists simultaneously. Upon recognizing the man, Luo Ji quickly put on a smile. "Instructor Zhang, it's a misunderstanding. We were just sparring, comparing punches. Nothing serious, really. Looks like the fight's off." "Boring," one student sighed, as the crowd began to disperse. "I wanted to see how good that Chu Tiannan really is." Even Lu Hai cast one last thoughtful glance at Chu Tiannan before walking off. The man who had intervened was Zhang Yongquan, one of the Academy's most respected instructors, mentor of Class 3, and a high-tier martial artist. Due to his strictness, students called him Old Demon Zhang behind his back. Zhang looked at Chu Tiannan and asked coldly, "Is that true?" He wasn't naive. Luo Ji had a notorious reputation for stirring up trouble, hiding behind his father's influence. Chu Tiannan nodded calmly. "Yes, instructor. Luo Ji and I were merely testing our strength. We didn't expect you to arrive." Luo Ji raised a brow. He's not tattling? He expected Chu Tiannan to report him, but instead, he played along. A smirk tugged at the corner of his lips. Smart move. Zhang narrowed his eyes slightly, glancing at Luo Er, who stood quietly beside Chu Tiannan, her expression unreadable. "All right then, you may leave." "Wait, instructor," Luo Ji started, clearly agitated. Zhang cut him off with a cold stare. "Do you have a problem?" "No, of course not." Luo Ji gave a reluctant bow. Student Luo Ji takes his leave. With one last glare at Chu Tiannan, he turned and stormed off, his lackeys trailing behind him. Zhang turned back to Chu Tiannan. "In the future, if there's a problem, report it. Don't act on your own. If you want to test your strength, do it at the training ground. Break your bones there if you must, no one will stop you. Yes, instructor. I understand. Chu Tiannan bowed respectfully, recognizing the olive branch being offered. He then departed with luo air. Zhang watched him leave, frowning thoughtfully. This kid, is he really that special? He murmured to himself. Even the higher-ups told me to keep an eye on him. Bastard. Damn it. A loud crash echoed through the lavish room as a half-empty wine bottle shattered against the wall. Crimson droplets of liquor splattered like blood on the white wallpaper. Luo Ji stood trembling, chest heaving with fury, his face twisted in rage. Behind him, an older man in his 50s, stoic and silent, waited patiently, letting the young master vent without interruption. Chu Tiannan, I'll make you regret today. Luo Ji snarled, veins bulging at his neck. The old man, known respectfully as Uncle Li, stepped forward with a faint smile. Young master, why let a nameless nobody like him get under your skin? You're far above him. Luo Ji scoffed, eyes blazing. Uncle Li called 2 girls over. I need something to take the edge off. As you wish. I'll have them sent to your room within half an hour. Uncle Li replied with a courteous bow, retreating and gently closing the door behind him. Alone again, Luo Ji muttered under his breath, pacing. If it weren't for that damn instructor Zhang showing up, I would have taught Chu Tiannan a lesson he'd never forget. One day I'll crush him, make him beg. He threw himself onto the bed, his smirk slowly curling back into a snarl. Just you wait, Chu Tiannan, soon you'll be crawling. That same night, in a much humbler room rented near the academy, Chu Tiannan emerged from a warm bath and sank into bed, his damp hair tousled and relaxed. A faint smile played on his lips. Luo Air's surprise visit earlier had left him in a rare good mood. I was planning to seek you out soon, didn't think you'd come to me first, he chuckled to himself. Raising his right hand, a subtle, dark golden glow shimmered over his palm. Within it, a dormant sword-shaped sigil pulsed faintly, the Yentian sword seal. He narrowed his eyes and focused, trying once more to summon its power. Nothing. Still not enough? Do I really need to reach the martial artist rank to activate it? He murmured. Host, please refrain from overexerting. You lack the strength to wield the Yentian sword. Rest is advised. A crisp system notification rang in his mind. Chu Tiannan sat up, stunned. Wait, system, you could talk now. Once you reach martial artist level, initial activation is possible. Full mastery of the Yentian sword will depend on your cultivation, talent, and perseverance. The stronger you grow, the more the sword will reveal to you. Chu Tiannan's eyes lit up, his fighting spirit igniting. As I thought, nothing worth having comes easy. Fine, I like a challenge. Lying back down, he closed his eyes and smiled. Step by step, I'll shatter every limit. Time to sleep. The next morning, as dawn painted the sky in soft hues, Chu Tiannan was already training at the academy grounds. After an intense morning session, he left the campus, having no classes scheduled for the day. He called Luo Air on the way. Hey, I'm heading out for a while. Don't wait for me at lunch. Grab something for yourself. I'll see you this afternoon. 30 minutes later, a bus dropped him off at a modest building with an old, weathered sign, Jiajile Moving Company. Brother, hi. Chu Tiannan greeted with a grin as he approached a sturdy man in his 40s. Huh, you're early today, Tiannan, the man smiled. This was Hai Gaopeng, the team captain and a seasoned mover with a generous heart. Lucky timing, Hai Gaopeng said with a grin. Big job today. Word is everyone gets 1,000 yuan once it's done. That's a great bonus, Chu Tiannan replied with a rare smile. For ordinary families, 1,000 yuan could cover weeks of expenses. As the other workers gathered, Hai Gaopeng shouted, All right, folks, load up. Time to roll. Inside the van, Hai Gaopeng glanced at Chu Tiannan. Today's client owns a villa. Wealthy guy. His brother's even a martial artist. So be respectful. No messing around. He lowered his voice, adding, When people like this make trouble, even the police tend to stay quiet as long as no one dies. That's the power of warriors. Chu Tiannan nodded silently, understanding the weight behind the words. Got it, brother Hai. I'll follow your lead. But deep down, a thought stirred in his heart. Power. It all comes down to power. With enough strength, even right and wrong can be rewritten. Soon, the van pulled into a quiet, upscale neighborhood. Villas lined the area, each surrounded by meticulously maintained gardens and private courtyards. The air here felt richer, the silence heavier. As they stepped out, Chu Tiannan glanced around, quietly impressed. Even the landscaping here feels expensive. All right, let's go. Inside now, Hai Gaopeng led the crew of 8 into the villa. Chu Tiannan followed, taking in the luxury, the polished floors, sparkling chandeliers, and spotless decor. It was a far cry from his own daily life. But then, his eyes locked onto something across the room. And in that moment, Chu Tiannan's expression shifted, just slightly, but enough to reveal a flicker of recognition or dread.
Hey, welcome to Firescale Audiobooks. If you enjoy our audiobooks, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, feel free to share your review in the comments section below.
Uncle Li. Luo Ji walked out of the room, saw many workers in the living room, and asked, "What is this for?" "Your uncle said that his company's profit will double this year, so he's going to redecorate. These old furniture are ready to be disposed of." The middle-aged man in a formal suit laughed. "Uncle is really rich. Even my father wouldn't dare to be so extravagant." Although Luo Ji is the son of a warrior, regardless of his status, his uncle's company makes more profits. After all, his uncle had no heirs, so he took Luo Ji as his own son, and his father was a warrior who needed to go out for many years, so he put Luo Ji in his own brother's house. "Okay, then tell someone to finish it quickly. Don't disturb my sleep." Luo Ji glanced casually before he finished speaking. Just such a random sweep, but suddenly found something wrong. It turned out to be him. Luo Ji stared intently at an inconspicuous black figure in the crowd and sneered in his heart. Sure enough, they were discovered. When Chu Tiannan saw Luo Ji walking out of the room, he was equally surprised. But Chu Tiannan didn't show any look of fear. Instead, he's pretty calm. "If Luo Ji is smart, I hope you don't mess with me. Otherwise, I don't mind exposing the warrior's strength in advance." After a period of understanding, Chu Tiannan is completely familiar with this world, and he also knows that warriors have a special status. The police are not qualified to investigate warriors. Only the Martial Artists Alliance is eligible to intervene. Authority arbitrary. So Chu Tiannan knew that even though this was Luo Ji's residence, he still didn't have any timidity. "Because I have confidence. God help me too." On the other hand, Luo Ji naturally didn't think so. He stared at Chu Tiannan like a poisonous snake. "This time, let's see how I play with you. Everyone, don't be dazed. My young master is very tight on time. Try to finish before noon." Seeing that Luo Ji's expression was not right, Butler Li ordered, "Okay, brothers are working. Here is the list we want to move out." Hai Gaopeng also brought the list given by Butler Li and smiled. The move was orderly, without any mistakes, which is also Hai Gaopeng's strict demands on himself and his subordinates. After all, as workers, they are not qualified to offend such employers. Time passed quickly, and in a blink of an eye, most of the furniture had been moved out of the villa, and there were still a few valuable porcelains. Be careful. These things are the owner's favorite. If they are damaged, you will never be able to pay for them if you struggle for the rest of your life. Butler Li couldn't see it by himself, so he called the 4 bodyguards at home to take care of it together. Luo Ji, who was sitting on the recliner, drank an expensive drink, thinking to himself, that Chu Tiannan actually only does light work, so it's not easy to start with." Luo Ji frowned slightly, and after a brief thought, he ordered his housekeeper, "Uncle Li, you're like this." Outside the villa, Chu Tiannan had nothing to do. He had already moved all the big items. For this kind of weight, Chu Tiannan could easily handle it. After all, he has the strength of a high-level warrior. If he didn't deliberately hide it, these things would weigh 100 caddies or even hundreds of caddies. Chu Tiannan really didn't have any problem holding one in each hand. Notice, the strength standard of a high-level warrior can reach the explosive strength of 1,000 caddies. This is also the reason why Chu Tiannan chose to work part-time. "How is it? Are you used to working today?" Hai Gaopeng smiled and threw a bottle of water over. Not tired at all, Chu Tiannan said with a grin after catching the water bottle. Hearing this, Hai Gaopeng couldn't help sighing. Oh, it's good to be young. Those outside come in and carry things. My young master has something to do at the moment. So you should hurry up, and there will be an additional bonus fee. At this moment, Butler Lee walked out and shouted at the people outside. Okay, let's go now. Hai Gaopeng responded, then looked at Chu Tiannan and said, the rest are precious porcelain. I didn't want you to help me. Are you afraid? I'm afraid I won't come to work part-time. Chu Tiannan put down the water bottle and said with a smile, ha ha, a young and promising, but I have to remind you, that thing is not only expensive but also hard to hold. You have to pay attention. It is good. In the villa, there are large and small porcelains inside, and all the small ones have been moved out, leaving a few large porcelain vases. This is a good guy. How much does it cost? The skinny uncle who moved with Chu Tiannan couldn't help but exclaim, it is estimated that I have worked hard all my life, but this is not worth it. Chu Tiannan nodded with a smile. Although he has no special concept of money, he understands it. If you don't have money, you are destined to be trampled under your feet. Yes, that's it. Luo sipped his drink leisurely. Seeing that Chu Tiannan had got up, he sneered in his heart. Look how I clean up you. As he said that, a green pebble appeared in Luoji's right hand, and with his fingers, he ejected it viciously. The small stone is hard to detect, and its speed is extremely fast, but Luoji's target is not Chu Tiannan. It was another lean man who worked with him. Ouch! The small stone hit the skinny man's calf instantly, and he cried out in pain. His feet became unsteady. Fall straight down, because one person was missing. The huge porcelain, which was as tall as a person, suddenly lost its center of gravity and suddenly fell to the side. Not good. Chu Tiannan naturally realized that something was wrong. He bit his gums secretly, trying to stabilize the porcelain, but found that the smooth porcelain didn't have any grip points. Clap! A loud shattering sound resounded throughout the villa. The sound of broken porcelain was extremely harsh. At this moment, everyone froze. The moving company's eyes widened, and the villa's bodyguards were also stunned. For a while, everyone didn't know what to do. What's going on? After the loud noise, Butler Lee ran in from outside the villa, followed by Hai Gaopeng. When Hai Gaopeng saw that the floor was full of fragments, and it still looked like it couldn't be broken anymore, his face was full of surprise and horror. Did Chengzi, what's going on? Although he was shocked, Hai Gaopeng still glanced at Chu Tiannan and the thin man, and said in a deep voice, I don't know, I just had a leg cramp just now. At this moment, the thin man's eyes were full of panic. Looking at the porcelain shards on the ground, his face turned pale, and he could hardly speak. Papa! At the same time, applause sounded from one side, and everyone, including Chu Tiannan, looked over with frowns. Luo stood up with a cold face and said calmly, I paid your moving company to come and move me like this. Although the voice was not loud, Hai Gaopeng's expression changed when he heard these words. Then he hurriedly came to Luo and said with a smile, Young master, it's my subordinate's fault. Please show your respect, my lord. De Chengzi's family depends on him for support. Is this the reason for your mistakes? Luo sneered, pointing at the debris on the ground, and hummed. This big porcelain vase is enough for all of you here to fight for half your life. And now you can fight if you say it. Especially when Luoji's eyes fell on Chu Tiannan. He pointed at the latter and said, at that time, he was the only one who moved the porcelain vase, and he called the moving company, and he couldn't let go of the other one. All right, young master. Hearing this, Butler Lee had already started to take out his phone. My lord, Hai Gaopeng was sweating from fright at this moment. He is afraid of such a difficult master, and it's not like he hasn't encountered such a situation before. But this time it was the mistakes of his own staff that made such a mistake. I think it's not my partner's leg cramps, it's your fault, right? At this solemn moment, a calm voice drew everyone's attention. Chu Tiannan squatted down, picked up an inconspicuous green pebble on the ground, and said with a faint smile, I think it should be this that made Brother Cheng's legs cramp, right? Yes, at that time I also felt as if my leg had been hit by something, otherwise I wouldn't have cramp. The thin man beside him was also stunned and nodded repeatedly. Speak wildly. Who do you think you are? Luo Ji laughed even more presumptuously, ignoring the unkind eyes of the moving company workers, and sneered. You smashed the precious items in our house, and now you want to shirk responsibility? Tiannan, this matter has nothing to do with you. Don't meddle in it. Hai Gaopeng was already in a state of confusion at this moment, so he couldn't help shaking his head slightly at Chu Tiannan. Since Master Luo Ji said so, let's call the police to find out who is responsible for this. After speaking, Chu Tiannan took a step forward, holding a small stone, and said with a smile, Master Luo Ji, do you want to let this stone be tested for fingerprints? Hearing the words fingerprint test, Luo Ji's face changed slightly, and he immediately turned into anger from embarrassment. Okay, those who work now don't pay attention to the boss. Come here, take him and that man, and send them to the police. Bored? Yes. Immediately, 2 of the 4 bodyguards were separated, and they all sneered viciously, holding explosion-proof short sticks in their hands. No, I don't want to go to the police station. De Chengzi was terrified at this moment. Seeing the 2 burly men grabbing him, he subconsciously resisted and knocked one of them to the ground. Damn it, if I don't show you how powerful you are, you're going to go to heaven. Another burly man cursed angrily when he saw this. He held a short stick and slammed De Chengzi's arm fiercely. The latter screamed and covered his arm, sweating coldly from the pain. Brother Cheng, De Chengzi, Chu Tiannan and Hai Gaopeng shouted at the same time, and the former's gaze was extremely cold for an instant, like a knife's edge, scraping towards Luo Ji himself. Take him down. Seeing Chu Tiannan's sharp eyes, Luo Ji's body trembled for some reason. He knew that the other party was a senior student, so he hurriedly said sharply, Boy, if you dare to resist, you will be crippled. The remaining 2 bodyguards waved their short sticks and drew them directly. Perhaps because of De Chengzi's example before, these 2 strikers were more agile, wanting to subdue Chu Tiannan in an instant. After all, in their eyes, although they all use money to do things, their status is much higher than these people. Coupled with the fact that powerful people are behind the scenes, it makes them even more unscrupulous. Seeing 2 short sticks slashing towards him fiercely, at this moment, Chu Tiannan finally made a move. Luo Ji, you forced me to do this. Call out. Facing the 2 bodyguards approaching with sticks, Chu Tiannan's eyes flashed sharply. He made a wrong step and cleverly walked around. Facing the dead corner of the attack, Chu Tiannan mercilessly punched one of them on the waist. There was a scream, and the sturdy man who was first attacked by Chu Tiannan fell to the ground instantly. Because this punch directly broke one of his ribs, the severe pain made him sweat, and even the other man who was about to step forward was shocked. Impossible. In terms of the degree of shock, Luo Ji was undoubtedly. After all, as a senior student of the Warrior Academy, he knew very well the strength of his bodyguard. They all have the physical fitness of senior students, so Chu Tiannan is a little stronger than senior students. But those who want to punch their own men have no power to fight back. It's simply a fantasy. Luo Ji, I told you, don't force me. At this time, Chu Tiannan ignored the shock of the other party and slowly stepped forward. His voice was cold. Just now, Chu Tiannan still had some reservations about his punch. Otherwise, the unlucky bodyguard would have broken a rib. Stop him. Luo Ji's voice was startled, and he commanded another person sternly. But when he heard his master's words, the sturdy bodyguard gritted his teeth and swung his stick fiercely. Boom! Without any accident, the second bodyguard also fell to the ground, but this person had a broken rib on the other side. What are you going to do? Luo Ji was really frightened at this moment. His face was pale. Luo Ji also finally understood that he was not Chu Tiannan's opponent at all. Even if he, Luo Ji, made a move by himself, he would never be able to control the enemy with one move, and it was so clean. Although he was able to beat his own bodyguards, it took a lot of effort to do so. The difference is obvious. What am I going to do? Chu Tiannan walked in front of Luo Ji without hindrance. He, who had experienced life and death, exuded an oppressive aura all over his body at this time, and Luo Ji was so frightened that he couldn't stand still. Tiannan, don't act recklessly. Hai Gaopeng said urgently after he recovered from the shock. Use force in other people's villas, and you will go to jail. Ha! Do you hear me, you bastard? Luo Ji only reacted and immediately laughed wildly. Although he was annoyed at the opponent's strength in his heart, he firmly believed that the opponent would not dare to do anything to him. As long as you dare to do something to me, you can go to jail directly. Oh, really? Originally, Luo Ji wanted to use this to scare the other party, and then delayed until the police came, but he never thought that Chu Tiannan just nodded slightly. Boom! The sound of a punch breaking the wind was so fast, Luo Ji felt as if he had hit a wall, and his figure was directly blasted against the wall. The walls were slightly dented because of this. Although Chu Tiannan did not do it lightly, he understood. The senior student's physical fitness is not bad. At least he won't die this time. Yes, the physical fitness of advanced students is second only to junior fighters, so although Luo Ji will lie in bed for a month, but there is no danger. Cool. With a punch, Chu Tiannan's heart was filled with joy. Ever since he came to the martial arts academy, he had been patient again and again. But this Luo Ji provoked him many times. This time, Chu Tiannan directly defeated him. It is estimated that this Luo Ji will cast a psychological shadow in the future. Master, Steward Li was horrified when he saw this, and hurriedly hugged the young man who was embedded in the wall. Police, don't move. At the same time, several police officers also rushed into the villa. When they saw the scene inside, they were really shocked. 2 personal bodyguards fell down on the ground, and Luo Ji, who was speechless with an unbelievable expression on his face. There is also a young man in black standing in the center. The young man clenches his hand slightly. Judging from his sharp edge, he must not be an ordinary person. Police! Hands up! Several policemen pointed their guns at Chu Tiannan and said sharply, If you dare to resist, we have the right to kill you. Hearing this, Chu Tiannan glanced at Hai Gaopeng, who was shaking his head and sighing, and then at the Chengzi, who was in pain on the ground, sighed in his heart, and slowly raised his hand. Chu Tiannan knew that the reason why this scene happened today was because of Luo Ji's bad relationship with him. This caused such a thing to happen to Hai Gaopeng's moving company. After all, Chu Tiannan admitted that the main responsibility was still on him. Otherwise, he would never have made such a head today. Old Yuan, these people are all robbers. Look at him beating my young master. At this moment, Butler Li screamed, pointing at Chu Tiannan, full of grief and indignation. And the middle-aged policeman called Lao Yuan looked at Luo Ji. His face twitched despite his concentration. I saw Luo Ji's body trembling uncontrollably. His eyes widened, but he was speechless. Take these people away, and this one. Lao Yuan, as the captain, directly ordered his subordinates. When his eyes fell on Chu Tiannan, his voice became a little louder. Don't resist. Otherwise, you will know the consequences. 2 of the young police officers walked towards Chu Tiannan wearing handcuffs, and the latter nodded slightly when he saw this. Immediately, under the stunned gaze of the crowd, he smiled. I cooperate with you. Let's go. Tiannan, seeing that Chu Tiannan was about to carry everyone on his shoulders and was taken away by the police, Hai Gaopeng felt anxious and powerless in his heart. It's okay, brother Hai. Trust me. Before Chu Tiannan was taken away, he turned his head and gave Hai Gaopeng a mysterious smile. Just Tiannan has never been to your company. As he spoke, the young man in black was forcibly taken away by the police. Master Luo, are you all right? Lao Yuan took a cigarette from Butler Li, looked at Luo Ji, who could not move, and frowned. He has a physique close to that of a warrior. How could he be injured like this? Chu Tiannan. Luo Ji wanted to move at this time, but found that his body seemed to be falling apart, and he couldn't move at all. Due to the overwhelming anger, his eyes went dark, and he passed out. Master, there must be nothing wrong. Seeing this, Stewardly called an ambulance in panic and said to Lao Yuan, "He is a future martial artist. You need to help with this case. Old Yuan." Hearing that, as the captain, Lao Yuan naturally understood what the other party meant. He nodded slightly and left without saying much. Afterwards, Hai Gaopeng and his companions carried to Chengzi to seek medical treatment. As for Chu Tiannan's matter, Hai Gaopeng has already applied to the superior leader of the moving company, but he has no choice but to agree with the latter. Fire Chu Tiannan as a staff member. Obviously, this company wants to distance itself from Chu Tiannan. Obviously, the people Chu Tiannan provoked this time were not comparable to their small moving company. Click. Dazzling lights flashed. The black hood covering Chu Tiannan was lifted, and the young man narrowed his eyes slightly. The whole room is extremely empty. Only the camera in the corner rotates mechanically, and the cold handcuffs on Chu Tiannan's hands. Tell me, why did you hurt Luo Ji? At this moment, one of the policemen sitting opposite Chu Tiannan slapped the table and snapped. Hearing this, Chu Tiannan raised his gaze, calmly looked at the two young policemen in front of him who were interrogating him, and said, "It was his bodyguard who moved me first, and I had no choice but to do it." "You have no choice." Hearing this, one of the policemen obviously didn't believe it and said coldly, "From a testimony of the Luo family, we found that, as a moving company, you deliberately thought that you had destroyed the precious porcelain, which led to disputes, and you even fought hard. How do you explain that?" Hearing this, Chu Tiannan also understood, shook his head slightly, and said nothing more. "Then let them do it. Don't waste time. Do whatever you want." He knew that the Luo family would definitely not make him feel better, but Chu Tiannan also wanted to see it. What means can the other party have? Unless it is absolutely necessary, it is better not to expose the warrior's strength. I believe Luo heir has already got the news. At this time, Chu Tiannan was quite calm, and he was not panicked because he was about to face prison. "Young man, your confession is quite unfavorable to you." Seeing that the other party stopped talking, another middle-aged policeman with a calm face frowned. "You know that this is tantamount to pleading guilty in disguise. What you moved was a villa of a listed company in the southern district of Jishur City. The owner of the villa is going to sue you. Of course, this is just one of them. The boy you hurt is the son of a warrior. This matter is more serious than you imagined. The family members of those who dare to use force are either capital crimes or life imprisonment." Hearing this, Chu Tiannan frowned, but he ignored the fact that Luo Ji's father was a warrior. But that's all. Chu Tiannan is still quite calm. After all, he is fully sure of making a comeback. "It seems that you are ready to accept it, don't you?" One of the young police officers saw this. He thought that Chu Tiannan would give up on himself knowing that he had offended the warrior's family. "Come." The iron door was closed immediately. Chu Tiannan was alone in this secluded hut, looked around in the dark, and lay down on the bed. "I don't want to stay in this kind of place for the rest of my life." The corners of Chu Tiannan's lips curled up slightly. What Chu Tiannan was thinking at this moment was how to let the outside world know that he had the strength of a warrior. 3 days later, in a high-end restaurant, sitting at the dining table, Luo Ji poured wine for another young man and said with a smile, "Brother Qing, I will leave this matter to you, and I will thank you very much." Hearing this rebellious-looking young man drank wine intoxicatedly, nodded and said, "Brother Luo's help? I will definitely help. Leave this matter to me, although killing people is not allowed, but crippling is still possible. The little brother will wait for the good news." After seeing off the young man, Luo Ji tasted high-end fruit wine alone in the room, and his eyes were full of resentment at this time. As a senior student, he has no power to fight back against Chu Tiannan. This is for Luo Ji. What a shame. That's why he wanted to take this opportunity to completely abolish Chu Tiannan. After all, they had already had a grudge. Assuming that one day Chu Tiannan breaks through to warriors before Luo Ji, this matter will be difficult to handle. Gently put down the cup in his hand, Luo Ji stood up and sneered. Chu Tiannan, Let me see how you fight with me this time. Whoa. This is the sound of the iron door being opened, and the natural light outside illuminates the originally dark room. Prisoner Chu Tiannan, get up and move. Accompanied by a cold reminder, Chu Tiannan, who was meditating on the wooden bed, suddenly opened his eyes. Those sharp eyes, like the edge of a sword, are deep and unfathomable. Pretending to be in prison and wanting to cultivate into a martial artist? Seeing Chu Tiannan like this, the prison guard sneered disdainfully in his heart. After all, there is not a single prisoner in prison who does not do this. They just look forward to becoming warriors one day, and in this case, they will atone for their sins. But it's better than wasting your life here. Chu Tiannan was wearing a prison uniform and walking in the protective corridor, looking at a young warden approaching him with a calm expression. On the other hand, the warden's eyes fell on Chu Tiannan, showing a thoughtful expression. The two just passed by so plainly, without the slightest exchange of words. Is this person Chu Tiannan? The warden turned around after passing Chu Tiannan and asked the subordinates beside him. Yes. Did the warden have orders? A prison guard nodded. Let the people in the cell point him. Don't kill anyone. Yes. South China Base, Shenan District Public Security Bureau. Seeing that the hall was very lively at this time, Captain Yuan was on duty today, so he walked out directly, frowning. What's so noisy? Captain Yuan, you are here. The chief is not here. You are the only one who can handle this matter now. At this moment, a young police officer was sweating on his forehead. Obviously, things are not as simple as imagined. What's causing this panic? Captain Yuan frowned slightly. After all, this is also a police station, so he walked straight to the hall. I saw a beautiful girl in yellow standing at the front desk of the police station, followed by two middle-aged men. 3. Come to our Southern District Public Security Bureau to report the case. Captain Yuan put down the hot water cup in his hand, looked at the girl in yellow with a beautiful face, couldn't help but sigh in his heart. His face remained calm. Let's pick someone up. A middle-aged man next to the girl in yellow stepped forward and said, Is there a young man named Chu Tiannan detained here a few days ago? There is a little guy with this name, and he's been transferred to a nearby prison. Hearing this, Captain Yuan frowned slightly, took a sip of hot water, and said, After all, this Chu Tiannan committed the crime of intentionally hurting others, and the injured Luo Ji is about to sue him. Do you know that you are imprisoning a martial artist? However, the other party's next sentence made Captain Yuan, who didn't care at first, stare wide-eyed, couldn't help but spit out the water from his mouth, and said in horror, Warrior, impossible. We have checked his information. One of the survivors from the former base city in East China is just a senior student of the Warrior Academy. How could he be a warrior? After all, for the public security organs, no one is a warrior, and it is immediately clear after checking the identity information. So although Captain Yuan doesn't believe it, he is already muttering in his heart. After all, the identity of a warrior cannot be faked, but seeing what the other party said so seriously, obviously there must be tricks in it. Uncle Wang, seeing Captain Yuan hesitant, the girl in yellow whispered to the middle-aged man behind her. When the latter heard the words, he directly handed over the identity information in his hand. Captain Yuan was shocked when he saw it. Instructor of martial arts gym in East District of South China Base, Wang Jinhai. There's also a proof of strength at the back, senior warrior. This. Captain Yuan was completely stunned, and suddenly realized. He asked the policeman next to him, Quickly find out, which prison is this Chu Tiannan in? Seeing that something was wrong, the police officers came to say after a quick check. Back to Team Yuan. Since the South District Prison is full of death row inmates, this Chu Tiannan is in the East District Prison. Call the police immediately and pick him up. Captain Yuan stood up without any hesitation and said in a deep voice, But, Captain Yuan, this Chu Tiannan committed the crime of intentionally hurting someone, and he picked him up directly for fear of the Eastern District. The police officer hesitated. Don't worry about the face of the Eastern District Prison. People from the Eastern District Martial Arts Center have come here. This case is no longer under our police's control. Captain Yuan shook his head, then knocked on the table and urged, "Quick, yes, Captain." Seeing the other party so quickly, Luo Air also walked out of the police station and thanked Uncle Wong beside him. "Uncle Wong, I'm counting on you this time. I don't need to ask your family members for this trivial matter. In Dongxing District, as long as this little guy really has the strength of a warrior, I can make the decision." The middle-aged man smiled. It is not difficult to see that this man, surnamed Wong, no matter in terms of momentum or physique, obviously not ordinary people. However, neither Luo Air nor Captain Yuan knew. While the police station in Nanqing District was anxious, the prison in Dongxing District. But the rain is about to come, and the wind is full of buildings. Inside Dongxing Prison, there are 100 or so people gathered here in the event venue, or chatting in small groups, or a group of people relaxing with a game of basketball. There is only one young figure sitting in a corner with his eyes slightly closed and his ears turned off from the window. It should be this kid. That's the person that Brother Qing confessed to. Look at the photo, that's right. Brother Qing said, "Teach me a lesson. Don't let anyone die." Okay, don't worry. After a long while, a group of more than a dozen people aggressively crossed the field and directly surrounded the young figure sitting quietly by the flower bed. But little brother, Chu Tiannan, a good-hearted laugh came, causing the young man to open his eyes and said, "Is something wrong?" "Hey, of course there is something to do." After confirming the identity of the other party, the dozen or so people laughed out of spite. The people on the outside blocked the view inside. This is a blind spot for surveillance, and no evidence will be left. With so many people, is there a welcoming ceremony? Seeing this, Chu Tiannan smiled lightly. "Boy, death is imminent, and you are still so rampant." The leading bald man clenched his fists and made a crisp voice, sternly. "Move quickly, go." Hearing the boss's order, one of the dozen or so people around immediately stabbed fiercely with a sharpened toothbrush. Ugh! Chu Tiannan knew that today's matter would not be good, because he could see it. The characters in these numbers are not trying to smack themselves, but to really abolish themselves. Click! There was a crisp snapping sound, and Chu Tiannan broke off the toothbrush with his right hand and kicked the first prisoner fiercely. The latter suddenly screamed, and then flew out, leaving a shallow mark on the ground. The prisoner clutched his stomach and rolled over on the ground, looking in pain. Chu Tiannan quickly dealt with the person and still sat calmly by the flower bed, smiling lightly. "Who wants to do me? You don't deserve to know? Brothers, let's go together." Facing the fact that one of his subordinates had been crippled, the bald man was vicious, and the people around rushed forward. Boom, boom, snapped. Chu Tiannan was still sitting in front of the flower bed, seeing a dozen or so people rushing up at the same time, but he was not timid or caring at all, either with his hands, feet, or palms. The speed is extremely fast, and the short-distance explosive power is full. In less than a minute, a dozen or so prisoners, including the boss, who had a huge advantage, were seen. They were all knocked down in an instant, and Chu Tiannan didn't choose to hit hard. He just made the opponent unable to get up. Damn it! Why is the person Chinga said he wants to deal with so strong? The bald man covered his smooth head, gnashing his teeth, while a painful prisoner next to him said, "He may be a warrior." Warrior? The bald boss shuddered in his heart, and he turned his eyes to the young man who was sitting quietly in front of the flower bed, suddenly realized, and roared angrily. "Rat, kill him! Call out!" In the next second, a sharp cold light ruthlessly flew towards Chu Tiannan at an extremely fast speed. What power! Seeing the situation, Chu Tiannan was shocked. He stood up with cold eyes. The blade actually flies in the air by itself. Although it is a bit clumsy and immature, it is full of lethality. Puff! Chu Tiannan wanted to dodge, but the blade came too fast. Coupled with the short distance, the powerful inertial impact force directly penetrated Chu Tiannan's arm, and blood flowed out immediately. Damn it! Chu Tiannan gritted his teeth and covered his wound. At this moment, he was really shocked. Unexpectedly, there are such capable people in this prison. Call out! The blow missed Chu Tiannan's vitals. The blade cut a cold light and struck again. Hide, hide! At this time, Chu Tiannan was no longer as careless as before. He rolled on the ground, dodging the blades in the air again and again. And the latter seemed to have no choice but to swear not to give up, and made troubles one after another. And this time faster and more explosive. It's not good. I can't hide. Chu Tiannan was forced to the flower bed, and found that there was no room. His heart felt cold. He gritted his teeth, and thoughts frantically flooded his mind. Block, block! And Chu Tiannan, who had a very strong soul, stared fixedly at the approaching flying blade and gritted his teeth. But what can be resisted? Obviously, the locked position of the blade this time is exactly Chu Tiannan's shoulder if it is penetrated again this time. It is estimated that Chu Tiannan's career as a warrior is coming to an end. Ding! At this extremely urgent moment, Chu Tiannan felt his mind go cold, and a calm voice sounded. The host already has 10 times the foundation of the soul, can activate the controller's weapon, and the heavenly Sin sings the snake. Activate now? Devour the system? At this extremely urgent moment, Chu Tiannan saw that the flying blade was close at hand, which also surprised him. The devouring system actually spoke at this moment. It seems to be able to activate new things. That goes without saying, activate it. Although Chu Tiannan didn't hear it clearly, he didn't dare to hesitate at the moment of life and death. Put all your hopes on this activation. Activation successful. Host, please accept the heavenly Sin snake, starting from this moment. You're not only a warrior, but also a controller. After the system's voice finished speaking, it disappeared again. At the same time, Chu Tiannan only felt that his eyes seemed to be able to see more clearly. However, the most important thing is that the blade that had been swiftly swept towards him was now in Chu Tiannan's eyes. It turned out to be a lot slower. What's the use of slow light? But even though Chu Tiannan had a preliminary feeling of controlling the overall situation, he still couldn't help roaring in his heart. What I want is to block. The moment the flying blade was about to get close to Chu Tiannan, a black ray suddenly shot out from nowhere. The blade was shattered in an instant, and the black light disappeared instantly after the crisis was resolved. The crisis is over. Seeing the blade shattered to the ground, Chu Tiannan's forehead was covered with cold sweat, and after he relaxed, he felt dizzy instantly. At this moment, Chu Tiannan felt as if his soul had been drained, and his spirit was very heavy. If it wasn't for the support of his strong consciousness, he would have fallen into a deep sleep at this time. And in the corner of the chaotic venue, a thin and unbelievably small figure kept murmuring beside him. It's impossible. It's impossible. How can I miss it? At the same time, a beautiful figure in yellow clothes suddenly appeared at the entrance of the venue. Luo Er was also startled when he saw dozens of prisoners lying on the ground in pain. And when she was searching with her bright eyes, she finally landed on the wobbly young man and ran over quickly. Tiannan, are you all right? Luo Er saw that the situation was not right. Chu Tiannan seemed to fall down at any time. There was a trace of eagerness in his voice. It's all right. Seeing a familiar person, for some reason, when Chu Tiannan saw Luo Er's pretty face, his heart felt a lot more at ease. But after this relaxation, a lot of fatigue hit him crazily. Chu Tiannan's eyes were slightly closed, and he fell down directly. Leave Luo Er anxious alone. When Chu Tiannan struggled to open his eyes again, it was already dark outside, and he was lying on a tidy nursing bed with a heart rhythm test sticker in his hand, obviously. Chu Tiannan knew that he had been transferred out of prison. Chu Tiannan knew that he was overtired before, so he couldn't help but fell asleep in the end. When he got up, he found that the previous heavy tiredness had disappeared. It seems that I used up too much soul power before. Chu Tian shook his head slightly, and suddenly his mind moved. Host, since it was your first time to use Heavenly Snake, the system reminds you very much. Next time, don't use your soul power so desperately. It will cause the host soul to dry up and fall into a deep sleep. In the slightest, it will damage the source of the soul, and in the worst case, it may fall asleep forever. Remember, remember, the indifferent system prompt sounded in Chu Tiannan's mind, which made the latter suddenly realize. No wonder. Maybe I was too anxious before, so I mobilized the strongest soul force. Recalling the previous scene, Chu Tiannan still has lingering fears. If it weren't for the devouring emergency rescue, he would be given a great weapon again. Chu Tiannan is likely to be abolished. Heavenly Sin Singing Snake. Chu Tiannan felt that his soul power was being saturated and saw that there was no one around, so he moved carefully. I saw a small short blade, as black as ink, condensed from Chu Tiannan's body. The shape of the short blade is like a small snake, flying around Chu Tiannan flexibly, as if to please his master. No wonder it's called the Snake of Heaven's Sin. Seeing the shape of the short blade clearly, Chu Tiannan nodded, his eyes swept somewhere outside the window, and the corner of his mouth curled up. Go with. During the thought control, the heavenly sin-naming snake seemed to have got the master's order, and it trembled cheerfully at an extremely fast speed. I saw a black light rushing out of the window with swift momentum. Flashing through the quiet garden, it finally hit an inconspicuous huge stone on the grass. Collapse. The black light broke through the stone and finally quietly returned to Chu Tiannan's side. Just as the latter was about to speak, he heard a loud noise. I saw that half-person-high stone on the grass was instantly covered with cracks, like a spider web, and finally fell under Chu Tiannan's surprised gaze. It exploded suddenly. I rely on. Chu Tiannan really didn't know about the explosive power of the heavenly sin-naming snake after such a trial just now. Even he was startled. Immediately afterwards, his face was full of joy. Great weapon. Chu Tiannan's eyes looked at the small sword weapon floating beside him. Don't look at the size of the Tianzhe naming snake, which is much smaller than the Yantian sword. But it is because of such a small thing that it can be used at a special juncture. Unexpectedly powerful combat power broke out. Chu Tiannan really likes the sinning snake, which is equivalent to having an extra card in his hole. Just imagine, during the battle, while using the heavenly expansion soldiers at the same time, I allocated a trace of soul power to control the heavenly sin snake. The combat effect achieved must be twice the result with half the effort. Efficient, strong combat power. It's just that the soul power is consumed a little more. After a while, Chu Tiannan felt a little tired in his mind. He hurriedly took the heavenly sinning snake back into his body. At the same time, there was a sound of hurried footsteps, and a beautiful figure in yellow clothes walked in. Seeing Chu Tiannan wake up, said happily, "When did you wake up?" Seeing that Chu Tiannan had already sat up, Luo Er walked over, looked at the young man in front of him, and asked, "Are you still a little uncomfortable? Do you want to take a rest?" It may be that Chu Tiannan's mental state is not good. Luo Er's voice is obviously concerned. "I'm fine. I've already rested." Chu Tiannan smiled as if he had just woken up. "I could get out of prison this time. Thank you." As for the matter of Tianzhua's snake, Chu Tiannan was not ready to talk about it yet. After all, there had been many soldiers investigating from outside the window. After all, this is a hospital. Naturally, some people are suspicious of this loud noise. It's just that they couldn't find any evidence, let alone suspected that it was Chu Tiannan who made the movement. Hearing this, Luo Er shook his head slightly. A middle-aged man was walking behind him. He looked at the young man on the bed and said with a smile, "Hello, young man. My name is Wang Jinhai, and I am the head officer of the Wuguan in Dongchang District." "Hello, Master Chief." Chu Tiannan was taken aback when he heard the words, feeling the faint fluctuations in the middle-aged man's aura, and hurriedly responded, because he found that this Wang Jinhai looked ordinary. But those eyes are extremely sharp, and Wang Jinhai's strength is unpredictable. Chu Tiannan understood that it was quite easy for the other party to abuse him. "Well, I have already checked your information. You were indeed a senior student before." After speaking, Wang Jinhai nodded and took out an information book. "Fortunately, Luo Er met you. When this girl said that you have the strength of a high-level warrior, I was overjoyed. And when I wanted to see you, I heard that you were arrested and imprisoned for deliberately hurting others. That's why Luo Air brought me to the prison to rescue you." After finishing speaking, Wang Jinhai looked at Chu Tiannan with a smile and nodded with satisfaction. "After watching you fight in the prison, I found that you do have the power of a warrior. Thank you, Mr. Wang, for saving the boy." Hearing this, Chu Tiannan nodded and clasped his fists and said in a deep voice, "This sentence of thanks comes from the heart, no matter what purpose this Wang Jinhai has." What's more, with Luo'er's relationship, Chu Tiannan naturally wouldn't think too much about it. "Hee, we won't mention such a trivial matter." Wang Jinhai smiled and waved his hands, saying that he was very satisfied with Chu Tiannan. "The next thing to say is about the secrets of warriors. You need to be prepared." Hearing this, Chu Tiannan nodded and said, "Mr. Wang, please tell me. You already have the strength of a warrior, but you haven't participated in the warrior assessment and certification, so there is no identity information about you in the warrior system. You are in charge now, so if you want to stand up, you must prove that you are a warrior," Wang Jinhai said gradually, looking at Chu Tiannan. "Now, there's a way in front of you, and that is through me to recruit you into the Dongcheng District Martial Arts Hall in advance, so that through the intervention of the Martial Artists Alliance, the poor man who disputes with you will be punished." Hearing this, Chu Tiannan nodded. He knew this, and now this is an opportunity. What happened before the prison made Chu Tiannan understand. This is to show that someone is going to kill him. Obviously, Luo Ji is the most suspicious, because he was worried that he would become a warrior. In that case, he, Luo Ji, would murder the warrior. The crime is serious. In this world, Chu Tiannan knew that he had no choice if he gave up this opportunity. It is very likely that he will die unexpectedly next time. A warrior who has not been certified by the warrior system, even if he dies in prison. There will not be too many people to ask. Wang Jinhai didn't urge the other party, just stood silently waiting for a reply, and Luo Air nodded slightly at Chu Tiannan. Mouth movement. "I agree to join the martial arts school." Seeing this, Chu Tiannan agreed without any hesitation under Wang Jinhai's surprised gaze. Because Luo'er said something that reassured Chu Tiannan. Believe me, in the hospital room, when Wang Jinhai saw that Chu Tiannan agreed without hesitation, his serious expression suddenly relaxed a lot, and he said with a smile, "Young man, you will be proud of your decision today." As he said that, Wang Jinhai took out another smart bracelet from his pocket, but looked similar to the civilian smart bracelet. This is a smart bracelet specially equipped for the warrior system, and it also proves your status as a Chu Tiannan warrior. Saying that, Wang Jinhai handed it to the other party. Seeing that Chu Tiannan took it directly, said, "Because you haven't participated in the warrior assessment yet, so you're not considered a real warrior yet, so you have to go through the motions. I believe that you're a junior martial artist. It is not difficult to go through the motions. Compared to senior students, you are bullying them." Hearing this, Chu Tiannan laughed. "Yes, I am a junior martial artist, compared to advanced students who are not even martial artists. Of course it's bullying. If swallowing hadn't told me that I could activate the Yantian sword, I wouldn't even know I had broken through." After going through the pressure of life and death in the prison, Chu Tiannan's potential was once again exploded. As a result, he broke through to a junior martial artist in one fell swoop. "My martial artist, you have good talent. I like you." Wang Jinhai looked at Chu Tiannan, then at Luo'er, and said with a smile, "I thought it would overwhelm you." Luo'er snorted softly, making Chu Tiannan shake his head and laugh. This girl still doesn't like being oppressed in her bones. Since the matter of your martial artist has been resolved, let's talk about another matter. Wang Jinhai said. His smile gradually subsided, and he hummed, "Dare to attack warriors blatantly. This senior student named Luo Ji will definitely be in prison." Hearing this, Luo Air also nodded and said, "I didn't expect this Luo Ji to be very sinister. If I'm a few days later, I'm afraid." Now, the warden of Dongcheng District Prison has admitted that it was Luo Ji who entrusted him. Wang Jinhai said domineeringly with a faint majesty. Everyone related to you this time has been intervened by the joint investigation of the Tobu Hall. Don't worry, you are now a member of my Tobu Hall. As long as you don't take the initiative to provoke us, no one can bully us. Chu Tiannan also nodded, and a cold, killing intent flashed in his eyes. This Luo Ji provoked him repeatedly. Not to mention, even if he was beaten, he still wanted to put himself in prison. It's simply courting death. In a high-end restaurant in Nanjing District, Luo Ji drank fruit wine leisurely, as if he was waiting for something. Whoa! The door opened, and a young man with a gloomy face walked in. Luo Ji stood up and smiled when he saw this. Brother Qing, why did you come here? Did the boss work overtime again? Hearing this, Lu Qing did not speak, and then sat on the seat with a gloomy and terrifying expression. What's the matter, Brother Qing? Luo Ji also found out that something was wrong, so he couldn't help asking. At this moment, Lu Qing took a sip of the wine and sneered. Well, you Luo Ji, you just want to die, but you still want to drag me to accompany you. What's going on here? Luo Ji's heart skipped a beat. As if he had guessed something, he asked, could it be that Chu Tiannan has become a warrior? This is what Luo Ji is most afraid of. After all, he is still far away from being a warrior. If Chu Tiannan becomes a warrior, this matter will be troublesome. But it was just a trouble. After all, his father Luo Meng was also a warrior, and his strength is still very strong. The Chu Tiannan you want me to run has already been picked up by the people from the East Martial Arts Hall today, and it was also taken away by the chief officer of the Martial Arts Hall, Wang Jinhai. Lu Qing looked at Luo Ji and said in a deep voice, become a warrior? Lu Qing stared at Luo Ji and sneered. Anyway, you are all from the Warrior Academy. Are you really stupid or fake? Don't you know, Chu Tiannan? When I was asked, Luo Ji felt that something was wrong, so he told the truth. This kid is a transfer student who came to our academy later, Brother Qing. Has he become a warrior? Now, this is what he is most concerned about. If Chu Tiannan has a backer, but not the identity of a warrior. Everything is room to change. What are you thinking? Lu Qing could see the other party's thoughts and sneered. I'm not keeping secrets with you anymore. I came here today to tell you, so that you don't even know how to die. After speaking, Lu Qing stood up, looked down at Luo Ji, who was a little uneasy, and said in a cold voice, this Chu Tiannan has already been recruited by the Dongwu Hall, and he has the level of a junior martial artist. You played too big this time. Let's do it for ourselves. I paid for the meal, so you don't need to invite it. After speaking, Lu Qing turned around and left. Luo Ji, who was sitting on a stool blankly, was left behind. Luo Ji's face turned pale. Even the hand holding the wine glass trembled. His eyes widened, and he said in horror, Martial arts master? It's impossible. It's impossible. At this time, after Luo Ji learned of Chu Tiannan's situation, his face was so frightened that there was no trace of blood on his face. Even his trembling hands spilled the wine glass he raised. No, I can't sit still. Luo Ji stood up abruptly. He had never been so flustered before. But this time he was really scared. He even seemed to see the policeman in cold handcuffs, waiting for him at the door. Fear, cold fear. Yes, call uncle first. Luo Ji hurriedly took out his mobile phone and dialed the number. Hey, uncle, where are you? Inside Dongqing District Warrior Hospital. After Wang Jinhai left the ward, only Chu Tiannan and Luo Er were left in the room. For some reason, the atmosphere suddenly became a little awkward, and both of them didn't know what to say. Chu Tiannan looked at Luo Er's flickering eyes and said with a smile, I just found out that you are also embarrassed sometimes. For you? Luo Er's bright eyes fell on the young man on the bed and said softly, Yes, the one in front of me, but he has had a good time in the prison, and he still looks like a normal person. My little girl admires it. After saying that, Luo Er couldn't help laughing, and Chu Tiannan couldn't help smiling. What are your plans for the future? Luo Er looked at Chu Tiannan and asked softly. Me? Chu Tiannan shrugged and said casually, Let's take one step at a time, but I'll make a good plan for Luo Ji's affairs, and I can't let him off easily. Since your important matter has been resolved, I'm leaving too. Luo Air stood up, but there was a bit of reluctance in his voice. Where are you going? Chu Tiannan was startled when he heard the words, and couldn't help asking. Aren't you staying at the Warrior Academy? You idiot. You and I are both junior martial masters, bullying people in the martial arts academy. Luo Air gave the other party an annoyed look, and then murmured, I came here to find you. Although the voice was very soft, it was quite warm and comfortable to Chu Tiannan's ears. It's an honor to be able to remember Miss Luo. I didn't expect you to be so slick. I'm just thanking you. You men are all big pigs. After the joke was over, naturally returning to the topic, Luo Air covered Chu Tiannan's quilt herself and said, I'm going home. You and I have already logged into the friend system, and we can contact you at any time on the smart bracelet. Oh, hearing this, Chu Tiannan nodded. Okay, you and I still have a lot of things to deal with, and I won't bother you anymore. Luo Air could see that the other party was a little depressed. Then he reached out and tapped the other person's forehead lightly and said with a slight smile, Smile. Hey. Chu Tiannan nodded, grinning at the corner of his mouth, making Luo Air helpless with a deliberate smile. You can't be funny. I'm leaving. With that said, Luo Air turned around and was about to leave, leaving Chu Tiannan on the bed. Wait a minute. After Chu Tiannan struggled in his heart, he still called out to the other party. What's the matter? Luo Air turned around. Well, are you also a member of Dongwu Hall? Chu Tiannan suppressed the excitement in his heart, fixed his eyes on Luo Air, and said, Me? Hearing this, Luo Air pointed at herself and shook her head lightly. I'm not from the Tabukin. Then you are from the North Martial Arts Academy? Chu Tiannan frowned, because after he got the warrior bracelet, he naturally learned a lot. The Warrior Alliance is the collective existence of this world, and in the Huameng, the warrior system is divided into two major factions. Among them, the Dongwu Hall that Chu Tiannan joined is one of them, and the other is the Bai Wugwen with the same rich heritage. Among the remaining 9 major base cities of the Chinese Alliance, there are shadows of the Dongwu Hall and the Beiwu Hall. One can imagine the great influence. I'm not from Bai Wugwen either. Luo Air's answer made Chu Tiannan heave a sigh of relief, and then said in astonishment, Then which warrior system do you belong to? I'm a warrior in the warrior system, but I don't belong to the Huameng Martial Arts School. Luo Air teased, blinking her jewel-like eyes. Get to the point. Chu Tiannan said with a dark face. Why did I tell you? On the other hand, Luo Air didn't follow the routine and walked out directly, waving his hand. See you later, Tiannan. Hey, you haven't told me where you belong. Is your home in South China Base City? Facing someone's roar, Luo Air walked out of the nursing ward lightly. After closing the door, Luo Air leaned against the wall next to her, her pretty face blushing slightly. A gleam of joy flashed across the girl's bright eyes at this time, and this smile made the bright lights around her seem to dim a little for an instant. The corner of the girl's mouth slightly raised, and she turned and left immediately. Fool! Nursing ward. Chu Tiannan looked at the empty room speechlessly. The sudden silence made him a little uncomfortable. Hurry up and leave the hospital tomorrow. It's really uncomfortable here. Chu Tiannan frowned slightly and swiped his right hand. The space that Chu Tiannan's hand passed seemed to lose resonance, and after a slight tremor, the dark golden light instantly illuminated the entire room. In the next second, under Chu Tiannan's dumbfounded gaze, 100 dark gold long swords slowly appeared as if tearing apart the space. When the whole sword completely appeared in front of Chu Tiannan, the crack that appeared behind the tail of the sword was instantly repaired. Although the speed was extremely fast, Chu Tiannan still caught a glimpse of it and was really surprised in his heart. Starry sky. Wrong. After thinking about it carefully, Chu Tiannan was shocked to find that it was not the so-called starry sky at all. Swallow. Chu Tiannan immediately activated the system. Host, you have activated the Yintian sword. What are you calling me for? Let me ask you, who is the owner of this Yintian sword? Chu Tiannan looked excited at this time. Is it from the universe? The reason why Chu Tiannan asked this question was to confirm it. Yes, host. After a while, the devouring system, which had no message, gave a reply, and Chu Tiannan nodded. Really? Then can you tell me who is the master of this sword? Chu Tiannan asked. Host, I don't have the authority to answer your questions. I'm just a system. After speaking, the devouring system fell silent without any reply. Universe. Chu Tiannan sat up, rubbed his chin with his right hand, and a divine light flashed in his eyes. Damn it, my memory has been sealed. Did someone tamper with me before I was reborn? Chu Tiannan frowned. He found that he had lost all memory about the universe, even for the universe, just like the people on Earth for the universe. It is also in the middle of the haze, and there is no useful value information. Forget it. Let's take one step at a time. Chu Tiannan's gaze was as cold as a sword's edge, and he knew that he must have been tampered with before his death. Obviously, the great power that manipulated himself. Fear of their own existence, afraid of their own comeback. Just wait, I will be back. Chu Tiannan murmured and stopped thinking about it. The young man glanced at the Yin Tian sword floating beside him and stretched out his hand to hold it in his hand. Gudong. At this moment, Chu Tiannan felt as if he had activated the sword, as if connected by blood, which made him extremely comfortable. What a powerful power! Chu Tiannan played with the Yin Tian sword and found that his previous bonus experience was compared with this one. It is basically a sky and an earth. Feeling that the body of the sword was fluctuating quietly like a heart, Chu Tiannan hurriedly withdrew it, for fear that someone would covet it. This is the Yin Tian sword. It is estimated that with this sword, even high-level martial artists are no match for me, and I can even fight against peak-level martial artists. Just thinking about it, Chu Tiannan felt that the warlike blood in his body was boiling. As a demon dragon in his previous life, he was very bloodthirsty in his bones. It's a pity that I don't have the soul of my previous life. Even if I activate my demon dragon bloodline, it's fine. Chu Tiannan shook his head with a wry smile, because he knows that once he has the blood of the demon dragon, it is only a matter of time before he grows to the peak on the earth. Ward God level. Chu Tiannan looked out of the window, the corners of his mouth slightly raised, and his sharp eyes full of fighting spirit. I'm stronger than the Valkyrie class. Boom! Suddenly, Chu Tiannan felt as if he had been hit violently above his head and was almost knocked to the ground. Damn, what's the situation? Chu Tiannan ran to the window in surprise. His gaze swept up to the sky, and his eyes shrank. This! A gigantic two-headed bird uttered an ear-piercing cry, cracking the glass in front of Chu Tiannan. Boom! The body of the huge monster swooped down fiercely, and there was an invisible protective layer over the base city, no matter how hard it was. It can't break through the protective energy of the base city. This guy has to be close to the martial god-level strength. Chu Tiannan stared at the huge, two-headed bird in the sky in shock and murmured. Chu Tiannan only felt that he was extremely small in front of others. I'm afraid this two-headed bird can easily destroy tall buildings with just one breath. Perhaps it was found that the defense of the base city could not be broken, so the two-headed bird with a size of several tens of feet made a long cry. Disappear. After the episode of the giant bird, Chu Tiannan returned to the bed. Forget it. Let's not think about things that are too far away. The immediate thing is to pass the assessment of next month's warriors first. But I can't let people know about Yin Tian sword's engulfing special effects. My strength is very low. If I don't keep a low profile, it will break if I attract covetousness. After a simple plan, everything was ready for Chu Tiannan. He looked out of the window again and sneered. Before that, naturally Luo Ji's matter had to be settled. Villa room. Boom! The sound of closing the door sounded. A well-behaved, middle-aged man with eyes came in and said with a smile, "What's the matter, Xiao Luo? What is calling me in such a hurry?" The person who came was Luo Ji's uncle, Luo Ji's father, Luo Meng's younger brother, a successful businessman in Dongchang District, South China Bay City, Luo Peng. Facing Luo Peng's words, what he got was a moment of silence. I saw Luo Ji curled up on the sofa with a pale complexion. His eyes were full of fear, and he felt out of his mind. What's wrong? Luo Peng also realized that something was wrong. Seeing Luo Ji like this, the former immediately understood. There's a situation. Luo Peng hurried over, smiled comfortingly at Luo Ji. What's the matter? Did someone bully you in the academy? Hearing this, Luo Ji raised his head with difficulty, and with the corners of his mouth turning white, he said in a trembling voice, Uncle, I caused trouble. What's wrong with you? Listening to Luo Ji's trembling from the depths of his soul, Luo Peng instantly realized the seriousness of the problem and said in a deep voice, You tell the ins and outs of the whole thing, without any omissions. Seeing his uncle, Luo Ji managed to calm down a bit and told about the matter between himself and Chu Tiannan. Listening to Luo Ji's narration, Luo Peng, who was already frowning, gradually became serious, especially when he heard Luo Ji say that this Chu Tiannan was not a senior student at all, but you stinky boy, you have caused a big disaster this time. Luo Peng suddenly stood up from the sofa, pointed at the terrified Luo Ji, wanted to say something, but sighed. If this Chu Tiannan is really a martial artist and possesses the level of a martial artist, this matter will be a big trouble, and it is beyond my control. It's not that Luo Peng didn't wipe Luo Ji's ass before. It's just that those little things are for the former. Not worth mentioning. But this time things are different, because Luo Ji provoked the martial artist, and the opponent's strength is not weak. The matter of warriors is the most troublesome, because Luo Peng is not a warrior, he is just a businessman. The particularity of warriors is enough to be valued by all alliances in the world. Obviously, Luo Ji's problem this time is not simply deliberate murder. You actually let someone handle Chu Tiannan in prison. I really call you stupid or reckless? Luo Peng pointed at Luo Ji and gritted his teeth. Immediately, he quickly took out his phone and dialed the number. Hello. A deep voice came from the other side of the phone. Brother, our son has caused trouble. Luo Peng's first sentence. He called Luo Meng directly. Because this is a dispute involving the warrior system, Luo Ji has no chance of winning as a citizen, and now Luo Peng places all his hopes on Luo Ji's biological father. Luo Ji shivered beside him, not daring to speak. That's the way it is, brother. It's a bit troublesome. You are a warrior, so you can be private among warriors, or else. Luo Peng frowned the whole time and finished. On the other side of the phone, after a moment of silence, the deep voice rang again. I see, martial artist level brat. This brat did get into trouble this time, but fortunately it's within my control. Because the phone was hands-free, Luo Ji could naturally hear it, and he breathed a sigh of relief. He was so scared that he couldn't sleep all night, but now that he knew that his father could save him, he suddenly felt like he would survive the disaster. Brother, if you can do this, that would be great. Luo Peng laughed when he heard this, and his mood immediately became better. After all, for Luo Ji and the others, Luo Meng is the pillar supporting the entire family. Dad, I'm sorry. At this time, Luo Ji was crying a little if he knew Chu Tiannan's identity as a warrior. Even if he was killed, he would not completely provoke this Chu Tiannan just because he likes Luo heir. Little brat, it's fine if you know you're wrong. Wait for my news. I'll be home in a week. I'm still hunting monsters outside, so let's not talk about it. The phone hangs up. At this time, the original dignified atmosphere was swept away. Luo Ji was at least not as trembling as before, and Luo Peng tapped the former with his mobile phone, gritted his teeth. Brat, it's lucky that your father can help you this time. I told you that it's not mainly about warriors. I can help you, but you just don't. But Luo Peng also knew that Luo Ji didn't do it on purpose, so he sighed and turned to leave. Remember this lesson. My company still has a meeting. Let's go first. The door closed again, leaving Luo Ji alone in a daze. This night, Luo Ji is doomed to sleepless. And it was the same sleepless night, but Chu Tiannan was studying his Yin Tian sword repeatedly. With the deepening of the research, he was surprised to find out Yin Tian Jian has a secret pattern on his body that he can't understand, but he can't activate it yet. Obviously, the strength is not enough. It is estimated that the stronger I am, the more I can gradually comprehend the mystery of Yin Tian's sword. Without further research, Chu Tiannan retracted the Yin Tian sword behind his back, came to the window, and looked at Liming with a smile. It's daybreak. Early morning. The sun rose early, lighting up the blue sky, and it was destined to be a sunny day. After Chu Tiannan finished dressing up, he put on a set of brand new black long clothes left by Luo Air, and the young man looked out the window at the sky. I'm in a great mood. The material of his clothes. Chu Tiannan realized something was wrong after getting on the long windbreaker on the boat and said, putting the bracelet on his right wrist close to his clothes. Scanning. Immediately, the smart bracelet quickly scanned Chu Tiannan's whole body with several red lights, and the sound of data processing sounded. The clothes on you are a type of high-quality B-level combat uniform, which can effectively defend against attacks from general-level monsters. Your pants also belong to the B-level combat uniform, and the combat boots also belong to the B-level. Hearing the message from Gigi, Chu Tiannan froze on the spot, staring blankly at the sharp self in front of the mirror, couldn't help but wryly smiled. Isn't this too extravagant? It should be noted that warriors who fight against monsters will naturally have a lot of equipment. The combat uniform is the most common armor for warriors, which can effectively defend against the huge tearing force of monsters. The B-level combat uniform must be worth millions. Chu Tiannan looked at his whole body, shook his head slightly, and sighed. This love debt is the hardest to repay. Obviously, for ordinary people, a single piece of this combat uniform would cost millions of dollars. But for Luo Air and his wife, B-level things don't seem to be stressful. Previously, B-level recovery agents were given to B-level combat uniforms. This combat uniform is really comfortable. I'm not wearing clothes, I'm wearing money. Chu Tiannan didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and immediately murmured, This B-level combat uniform is enough for me to use at the martial artist level, but at the Wu Zone level, it seems that I need A-level combat uniforms. When Chu Tiannan curiously opened the combat uniform column in the martial artist store projected by the Eye Intelligence, a set of A-level combat uniforms, including clothes, pants, shoes, with a total value of 8,000 million Earth coins. A set of S-level combat uniforms, including the whole body, with a total value of 8 million Earth coins. The price is soaring tenfold. As for the price and information of SS level and higher level SSS level combat uniforms, they are confidential and require Valkyrie level authority. This is why it is called the martial artist store. Ordinary people, except for business tycoons, earn millions or even millions in their lifetime. A random set of combat uniforms here is a sky-high price. Damn it! Chu Tiannan was terrified and immediately closed the warrior store, sighing. I'm so lost. I even dare to look at the S-class combat uniform. It should be noted that the S-level combat uniform can effectively resist the attack of King-level monsters. That's equivalent to a martial arts level powerhouse. War God. Chu Tiannan murmured at the corner of his mouth. This level is still too far away for him. The most important thing right now is how to steadily increase the level of warriors. By the way, the secret method. Recalling that Luo'er's sword made him unable to resist, Chu Tiannan's eyes suddenly brightened, and he searched in the warrior shop. The warrior store is divided into 3 categories: combat, body skills, and physical skills. Battle. Chu Tiannan clicked on one of the options. The combat category is divided into the road of the warrior and the road of the controller. The classification is quite detailed. Seeing this, Chu Tiannan shook his head with a smile, and then directly clicked on the battle cheats in the path of the warrior. Because Chu Tiannan found that there was no option for the secret method of combat, it was obvious that the sword that Luo Air used might be the battle secret. At that time, a large amount of information will emerge through intelligent projection. Combat cheats, sword intent, Shun Tsang, the number 1 combat power of the Warrior Alliance, has worked hard all his life, and the complete set consists of 9 books. The total value is 1,000 billion Earth coins. Lei Lin's tactics is the supreme method of using speed to destroy the enemy. It is written by Lei Hai, the #1 speed warrior in the Warrior Alliance. There are 9 books in the whole set. The total value is 1,000 billion Earth coins. Swordsmanship instructions can help warriors who use swords to better stimulate their fighting potential. Value 50 Earth coins. Damn. Excuse me. Chu Tiannan quickly closed the warrior shop with a dark face and shook his head with a wry smile. It's really poverty that limits my imagination. Just the simplest battle instruction costs 50 Earth coins. Luo sword skills are definitely more advanced. Originally, Chu Tiannan wanted to learn Luo air sword skills, but found that he was too poor. The poor are clear and clean. The martial artist store is really not affordable by ordinary warriors. Chu Tiannan also wonders how these warriors make money. No wonder Luo Air asked me to join the martial arts gym. There should be some benefits. Thinking back before, Chu Tiannan's eyes were shining brightly. Ding! At the same time, the smart bracelet receives an unknown text message. Chu Tiannan frowned slightly and looked at the message. Gradually, a smile appeared on the young man's face. It's pretty smart, even knowing to take the initiative to contact me. A taxi stopped in front of the splendid tall building. Immediately at the door, 2 men in gentlemen's attire greeted them, and they opened the door for the taxi in person. "Welcome to Houtai Green, sir." One of the gentlemen smiled professionally. I saw a young man in a long windbreaker stepping out, nodded immediately, and said with his wristbands sweeping across their wrists, "Take me to the suite in Block A of the reception area." "Yes, I will definitely guide you all the way." The gentleman in the lead nodded and laughed when he noticed that his bracelet had received an account notification sound. Just kidding, this move is a tip of dash for scanning the QR code, which can keep up with the man's salary for a few days. In the huge entertainment city, known as a paradise for the rich, here is everything you want to enjoy in luxury. In a word, this is the most extravagant place in the entire Dongcheng district, with everything you need for dining, entertainment, bathing, and leisure. As long as you have money, you can enjoy a luxurious life here. It seems that Lu Qing's qualifications are not bad. Chu Tiannan sighed in his heart as he walked forward with a lot of luxurious decorations around. Being able to become the warden at a young age must have a background in the family. He only realized how scary the VIP area was after asking the guide next to him. The VIP area of Houtai Green is all for receiving people of high profile. Even if they are rich, their status is not enough. It is also not allowed to enter. This is the rule and confidence. "Honorable sir, because I don't have enough authority, I can only bring you here." The gentleman who guided Chu Tiannan at the beginning saluted slightly, expressing his apology. "However, someone will come to personally receive you, sir, and I will retreat first." After the gentleman's receptionist left, Chu Tiannan was surprised to find an elegant woman in a black dress walking towards him. Feelings. Anyone who comes here to receive them is so temperamental. Although the woman oncoming was not considered beautiful, her well-trained elegance could make up for everything. "Hello, sir. Since this is a VIP area, you're not allowed to walk around at will. Please also ask your surname, and I will lead you to the place you reserved." The woman in the black dress also smiled professionally, with a humble attitude, which gave people a good impression. The suite in Block A. It was reserved by the person surnamed Lu. Chu Tiannan nodded and directly mentioned the room. It turned out to be Mr. Chu. "Mr. Lu has been waiting in the suite in Block A for a long time. My little girl will take you there. Let's go." When Chu Tiannan learned that Lu Qing had arrived earlier than himself, he was not surprised at all. After all, Lu Qing was at fault in this matter, and he has no right to be arrogant in front of Chu Tiannan. Walking into a huge room, Chu Tiannan felt that it was not a room at all. It was like a small villa inside the room. The indoor swimming pool, inch projection automatic control equipment, and all kinds of weird equipment give Chu Tiannan the feeling. Luxurious shock. "Brother Chu, you're here." At the same time, a man in casual clothes with a friendly smile came enthusiastically. I'm Lu Qing. Brother Chu is famous for being a martial artist, so I really surprised my little brother at that time. At this meeting, Lu Qing was extremely enthusiastic, afraid of offending this great god. He even humbled his attitude a lot. If this was in the past, Lu Qing, could be regarded as a character. Even if it is enthusiasm, it will never bow to this level. There is no way Lu Qing will not bow his head. Chu Tiannan is already a warrior. This identity alone made him breathless. Brother Chu, try this K. Lu Qing enthusiastically brought Chu Tiannan to the sofa to sit down and poured tea for him himself. Even Chu Tiannan couldn't find any flaws in his service attitude. Since he wanted to get rid of the disaster, I agreed with him. I just happened to be short of money. With a plan in mind, Chu Tiannan straight to the point said, "Let's make a long story short. I believe you invited me. It must be private." Lu Qing nodded slightly when he heard the words. With regret on his face, he gritted his teeth and said, "You bastard Luo Ji killed me. If I knew your identity, Brother Chu, I wouldn't dare to kill you. I even found someone to deal with you in prison. Just thinking about it makes me terrified. I am fully responsible for this matter. Brother Chu can forgive me." Lu Qing is extremely grateful. Lu Qing's attitude must be humble. There is no way. But fortunately, Chu Tiannan is strong. If something goes wrong, Lu Qing, must pay for his life. Maliciously injuring a warrior is a death penalty. Do it now. Chu Tiannan nodded slightly when he heard the words. He knew that the other party was not lying, and this Lu Qing was really scared. After all, the status of a warrior is unparalleled in this world. I know you don't know about my affairs, so I accepted your invitation. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come. Chu Tiannan said calmly. That's the face given by Brother Chu. Lu Qing, have to take it with both hands. After speaking, Lu Qing took out a large metal box from the side and opened it directly. The box is filled with earth coins. Judging from this posture, the amount will definitely not be small. Even Chu Tiannan couldn't help but twitch violently when he saw the whole box of cash. How much does it cost? Seeing this, Lu Qing breathed a sigh of relief and quickly smiled. Brother Chu, this is 500 million earth coins as an apology, and I hope Brother Chu will hold you high. 500. Hearing this, Chu Tiannan nodded calmly. I was very surprised in my heart. This is a full 500 million earth coins, and it's cash. Whether ordinary people can earn 500 million in their lifetime is a question. And this Lu Qing is willing to take out 500 million directly in one go. Obviously sincere. Brother Chu, look at this. Seeing Chu Tiannan's calm expression, Lu Qing couldn't help feeling a little uneasy. In the silent hall, Chu Tiannan looked at the box of money thoughtfully. Seeing that the other party did not speak, Lu Qing was about to speak for fear that the other party would be dissatisfied. Brother Chu, the one named Luo Ji. Chu Tiannan also spoke at the same time. Lu Qing hurriedly laughed when he heard this. Brother Chu, don't worry. This Luo Ji was arrested on the day you were hospitalized. In that case, hearing that Luo Ji had been arrested, Chu Tiannan nodded slightly and was immediately watched by Lu Qing in surprise. Pulled the cash box in front of him. Brother Chu is indeed a hero among men. Seeing that Chu Tiannan was willing to accept the money, Lu Qing was naturally overjoyed, stood up, and said excitedly, although 500 million earth coins is a huge sum of money, compared with life, Lu Qing certainly doesn't feel bad. This matter is over, and Luo Ji can deal with it as it should. Chu Tiannan waved his hand and didn't want to say more. Naturally, Brother Chu, don't worry. This Luo Ji dares to intentionally hurt you. He will be in jail. Lu Qing gritted his teeth. Brother Chu, this is my business card. You can call me if you have anything to do in Dongqing District. At that time, Lu Qing handed over a business card and said with a smile, although you are a warrior, the brat is difficult to deal with. For some trivial matters, it is better for us to come forward. Chu Tiannan did not refuse. The two chatted for a while. Then Lu Qing got up and left. Brother Chu, I know your status as a warrior, so naturally you can't live in the school's rented room. I have renewed my contract for this suite in Block A for 1 month, and you can enjoy everything here. You are busy, so I won't bother you." These were the last words Lu Qing said before leaving. Inside the huge room, looking at the extravagant decorations and various expensive entertainment equipment around, Chu Tiannan couldn't help laughing. "I didn't expect the identity of a warrior to be so easy to use." Chu Tiannan pressed the service button beside him. At that time, a service staff with a gentlemanly demeanor walked in with a smile. "Hello, what service do you need?" "Here." Chu Tiannan pulled the cash box over directly under the dumbfounded gaze of the service staff. "Ask your manager to get the money into my virtual bank account." As he said that, Chu Tiannan casually threw a wad of money to the other party as a tip. "Don't worry, distinguished guest, this matter will definitely satisfy you." The service staff closed the box again and took it away with even more respect. Lu Qing's matter is settled, and the warrior assessment will be half a month later. Sitting comfortably on the sofa, Chu Tiannan shook the fruit tea in the glass, thinking about it. Warrior Academy office. At this time, there were 7 figures gathered here, and the other 6 obviously had a high status, and they were all sitting at the side of the long table. The man standing facing them was none other than Zhang Yongquan, the instructor of Chu Tiannan's original student class. Chu Tiannan is nowhere to be found. "You, Zhang Yongquan, have missed such a good seedling," the leader said in a low voice. Dissatisfaction was evident in his voice. "Dean, I didn't expect Chu Tiannan to be a warrior. No one expected that he and Luo Ji would meet," Zhang Yongquan said respectfully, feeling helpless in his heart. Luo Ji was arrested suddenly, and Chu Tiannan had been confirmed as a warrior and left the academy. This made the Martial Artist Academy, which originally wanted to win over Chu Tiannan, lose its idea. This Chu Tiannan was also ordered to keep an eye on him. Now it's good. He was recruited by Dongwu Hall in advance. The voice of another senior executive was full of anger. "It's really ridiculous. He was taken away by the Dongwu Hall in Nancheng District. This is a slap in the face." As the 2 major martial arts systems of the Huameng, the East Wuwan and the Baiwuwan, are naturally fighting openly and secretly, and no matter which Bay city they are in. The East and West urban areas are under the control of the Dongwu Museum, while the North and South urban areas are under the control of the North Wuwan. This time Chu Tiannan was originally studying at the Martial Arts Academy in Nancheng District, so logically speaking, he should be recruited by the people in the North Martial Arts Hall. However, a conflict with Luo Ji suddenly appeared halfway, and it gradually became a big problem. When Bei Wuwan took people to the prison to pick him up, he found out unexpectedly. Chu Tiannan had already been taken away by people from Dongwu Guan, which made Bei Wuguan angry and helpless. "Then, what should we do, Dean?" Zhang Yongquan couldn't help asking, but looking at the figure in charge, he snorted and said, "The North Martial Arts Hall will not give up easily. Then Chu Tiannan will definitely participate in the martial artist assessment after a while. As long as he hasn't been certified by the warrior system, everything can be redeemed." During the period of Haotai Green, apart from practicing sports in the room, Chu Tiannan accidentally discovered that martial artist training can also be conducted here. The equipment is really complete and incomparable, worthy of a luxury hotel. Of course, there's a small episode in it. That was when Luo Ji's father, Luo Meng, returned to the base city. He originally wanted to find Chu Tiannan privately, but found no one. In desperation, he contacted Chu Tiannan through Wang Jinhai. The latter did not answer the phone on purpose and replied through the message that he was preparing for the martial artist assessment. Naturally, Wang Jinhai understood what was going on and immediately rejected Luo Meng with a smile. Although the latter was annoyed, he did not dare to behave wildly in the Dongwu Pavilion. "I can only leave angrily. Let him hang out for a month first, and let Luo Ji suffer. If I hadn't been strong, I would have ended up in prison this time." This was a separate call between Chu Tiannan and Wang Jinhai later. "Haha, with your strength, the martial artist assessment is just a joke. This is obviously to make Luo Meng unable to step down. You are ruthless. I like it. Wang Jinhai laughed wantonly. After the continuous passage of time, the time of 1 month seems to be fleeting. Chu Tiannan found himself liking this place more and more. After all, they live comfortably, eat luxuriously, play conveniently, and train without delay. Originally, Chu Tiannan wanted to renew the fee, but when he inquired about the price, he immediately gave up the idea. 1 million a month? Why doesn't he go grab the money? Chu Tiannan murmured and walked out of the hotel, sighing helplessly. This is the suite that Lu Qing opened for him before, plus the 500 million apology. The total is 600 million. But even so, he did not dare to spend so extravagantly. After all, the martial artist store had too many things that Chu Tiannan needed, and the reason why he accepted Lu Qing's apology was also to solve the urgent need. Go to the Tobu Hall to report for the assessment first, and then you could get a house for free. I'm so happy. With a plan in mind, Chu Tiannan directly left this expensive place by car. In the taxi, when Chu Tiannan was bored, he went shopping in the warrior shop. After all, there are 500 million earth coins in his pocket, so he is full of confidence. Warrior Chu Tiannan, are you sure you want to buy the sword skill, Flowing Shadow? The deduction was successful, and the balance is only 399 million earth coins. Agility. Chu Tiannan glanced over the cheats of agility, but found that there were not many of them. After simply communicating with the devouring system, Chu Tiannan knew that the controller must have a precise grasp of speed, so body skills are essential. After searching constantly, Chu Tiannan did find a very suitable secret book of movement skills for him, but it turned out that the price was double that of Lu Ying. I can't help it. Cultivation is just burning money. Even though Chu Tiannan felt distressed, there was nothing he could do. He immediately gritted his teeth and clicked to buy. It's you, Martial Master Chu Tiannan. You have successfully purchased the body technique cheat book, Treading Snow. After deducting 200 million earth coins, the remaining balance is 199 million earth coins. Grade D Excellent Recovery Agent. The purchase quantity is 10. The deduction is successful, and the balance is 69 earth coins. This money is really worthless. Chu Tiannan looked at his poor balance, and his heart was bleeding. Feelings, the way of a warrior, are too expensive. This is only a warrior-type store. Chu Tiannan doesn't even have the courage to order a controller-type store. In fact, Chu Tiannan didn't realize that the combat uniform on his body was given by Luo Air, so he didn't care about it. Otherwise, the 500 million earth coins are not enough to watch. As for the cheat information purchased before, it has been accepted through the smart bracelet. After all, it is all information. In this era, the vast majority of information is rarely presented in books, but is presented through smart device projections. This is convenient and safe, and can also prevent being resold. All warriors who buy cheats must read the purchase manual before, one of which is about buying and selling. Violators will be punished according to the preciousness of the goods, with a minimum of 1 million earth coins. Maximum death penalty. Do it now. I really want to know who made this martial artist shop. What a beast. Chu Tiannan couldn't help but sigh at this. The car soon came to the area of Tobu Hall, and because taxis were not eligible to enter, they had to stop in the parking lot outside the hall. After getting off the car, Chu Tiannan simply stretched his body. His eyes swept forward, and he was shocked. The huge ground yard has a large area in the base city where every inch of land is expensive. It is estimated that there are several football fields. And right in front of the gate is a high-rise building with 3 magnificent characters written on it. Tobu Hall. Chu Tiannan looked at the behemoth in front of him and murmured, "Is this the Tobu Hall?" Seeing the tall buildings in front of him, Chu Tiannan's throat moved slightly. This Dongwu Gym is indeed one of the 2 big martial arts gym systems of the Huameng. It's such a spectacle. Chu Tiannan stood in front of the main entrance and looked inside, sighing endlessly, watching the figures going in and out of the building. Obviously, they are all warriors. I didn't expect there to be so many warriors. Chu Tiannan was surprised to find that in just a few minutes, Thousands of warriors had already entered and exited the building. This number is already quite a lot. This is only the Tobu Hall in one base city. If the number of fighters in the To Hall and the Beiwu Hall in the remaining 9 base cities is added up, that is definitely a scary number. Is the person here Chu Tiannan? Just as Chu Tiannan was still in shock in his heart, a hearty laugh came. Hearing the sound, the young man turned around and saw a middle-aged man in a gray combat uniform approaching with a smile and nodded. "Excuse me." Chu Tiannan instantly felt from the other party's aura that this person was absolutely equal to his strength. It's just that the combat uniforms are only D level. Obviously, the combat uniforms that a normal martial artist can afford. The top is C level, and that set will cost more than 100 million Earth coins. "My name is Eli." Instructor Wong said that as long as you see a person wearing a long trench coat and carrying a sword, you should take him to see him. Eli, who was dark-skinned, smiled and touched his bald head. "I've been waiting here all morning. Only you have complex characteristics. Obviously, there are not many people named Chu Tiannan, so it must be you." Hearing this, Chu Tiannan nodded to admit it, but he couldn't laugh or cry in his heart. "Brother, Instructor Wong has been waiting for a long time. Come with me." After saying that, Eli directly pulled Chu Tiannan into the battery car and said, "Go to the office building." "Isn't that the warrior building?" Chu Tiannan asked in surprise. "It's the building in front. Because the instructor is on the 28th floor, there's a place behind the building where the car can get on the elevator. There's a lot of space inside, and it is convenient to drive." Eli's explanation made Chu Tiannan understand in seconds. On the way, Chu Tiannan entered the courtyard of the Dongwu Pavilion and found that the place is surprisingly large, but there are not many tall buildings. There's a warrior housing area in the Tobu Hall, which is a place for warriors to practice with peace of mind. What's left is leisure venues and green belts decorated with high funds. Of course, when you become a warrior, you will also have a house. Of course, you only have the right to live, not the right to buy or sell. If you want to work, you can go to the Tobu Hall building. This is the headquarters of the Dongxi district of the South China Bay City. There's a lot of warriors every day. Listening to Eli's passionate explanation, Chu Tiannan also had a simple understanding in his heart, but was shocked at the same time. In this Bay City where every inch of land is expensive, a set of houses can be speculated into sky-high prices, but becoming a warrior can get one for free. This is in contrast. In order to stand out, that's why the entire Huameng is fighting for becoming a martial artist. Entering the building, Chu Tiannan looked around through the side. The so-called sense of technology in the building is full, especially the automatic balancing elevator, which is actually voice-controlled. You must know that Chu Tiannan had never encountered a voice-activated elevator in Haodai Green before, so the cost was naturally ridiculously high. It's worthy of the Dongwu Museum, rich and powerful. This is Chu Tiannan's inner evaluation. There was an endless stream of people coming and going. Chu Tiannan took a quick glance and found that some people had a faint breath. Obviously, they were young people who were new warriors. And some mature middle-aged people are all exposed. After all, they've been fighting with monsters outside the base city all year round. Insufficient evil spirit is a strange thing. Chu Tiannan naturally found many warriors who carried their weapons behind their backs, just like him. Some have a double-edged dagger, some have a huge axe, and what's more, they carry a thermal weapon sniper rifle on their backs. It can be called variety. "Here we are, brother." Eli laughed and opened the door of the elevator. "You could go straight to the instructor's office. Instructor Wong is waiting for you inside. I still have something to do. See you, brother." "I'm sorry, brother Eli." After Chu Tiannan exchanged communication numbers with Eli, they separated directly. Teacher's office. Chu Tiannan kept searching in this labyrinth-like building and finally came to a brightly lit area using the three-dimensional map provided by the smart bracelet. Ding dong. After Chu Tiannan's identity was electronically scanned, the system sounded. "Quasi-warrior Chu Tiannan, please come in." After the system sounds, the glass door opens automatically. Chu Tiannan grimaced as he walked in, "Quasi-warrior." It seems that before the assessment, they were always called this. The glass door closes automatically. This is pure black rock glass condensation. Even if a warrior attacks, it will only leave a trace in it. It needs a senior martial artist to break through completely, and it can also be bulletproof, which is expensive. The whole office is extremely simple, just a huge desk. A middle-aged man dressed as a warrior was sitting in front of the table, holding the hot tea in his hand, and laughed. Little friend Tiannan, it's really the last day for you to come. In fact, it's okay if you come earlier. Wang Jinhai, as the chief officer of Dongwu Hall in Dongqing District, was not supposed to receive him, but Chu Tiannan had a special talent. Second, there is a relationship between Luo Air, which naturally got his attention. Instructor Wang, it's useless for me to come earlier. There is no place to live. Chu Tiannan grinned and immediately sat on the sofa next to him with Wang Jinhai's signal. Aha, you kid is really good at teasing. How do you know there's no place to live? Wang Jinhai looked at Chu Tiannan with a half smile, and the latter couldn't help saying his heart moved. Is it you, Instructor Wang? Of course, this is not my decision alone. It is the decision of the upper management just after a meeting some time ago. Wang Jinhai smiled and shook his head and said, You already have the strength of a junior martial artist. Although there is no formal assessment, in order to keep you a young genius, you are naturally treated differently from ordinary people. Oh, then I want to see what benefits the martial arts school offers me. Chu Tiannan had already learned about the welfare of warriors from a lie before, so he immediately looked forward to it. Haha, don't worry. You should read this contract first, and then decide whether to sign it or not. Wang Jinhai handed the contract on the table to Chu Tiannan, took a sip of tea, and said, There are a lot of emotions in my heart. It's not like they haven't received genius-level warriors before, and the superiors seem to attach great importance to the little guy. But this benefit is a bit too much. As the chief officer, Wang Jinhai naturally read it once, and immediately shook his head helplessly. He is also greedy. After receiving the contract, Chu Tiannan read it with full expectation, and gradually, the young man's smile faded. Instead, there was a touch of dignity. I'll go here. Along with the reading, Chu Tiannan's eyes gradually widened, and he couldn't help exclaiming. The main content of the contract is very simple. If Chu Tiannan, a prospective warrior, agrees to join our Tobu Hall system, he can get the following benefits. 5,000 million Earth coins startup capital, which can be used to purchase cheats, physical guidance, equipment, etc. No need for internal assessment, directly promoted to elite martial artist. Every day, you can freely enter the martial arts elite area to practice on your own and be guided by specially targeted instructors. A bottle of A-grade genetic modification agent, and receive a set of villas in the housing area of Tabukin. After reading it, Chu Tiannan felt that his breathing became heavier. He knew the benefits of normal warriors, but compared with this contract at this time, they are far behind. A normal warrior startup fund is only 1,000 million, and there is no such thing as an elite, let alone a training area of his own. And normal warriors can only get a house, but Chu Tiannan can get a villa. Especially when Chu Tiannan found out that he had an extra gene modification agent, although he didn't understand the reason for the genetic modification. But there is absolutely no genetic modification agent to sell in the martial arts store. Obviously, it was added by the Tobu Hall. This treatment. Haha, I knew you would have this expression. Seeing Chu Tiannan's slightly sluggish look, Wang Jinhai couldn't help saying enviously, I've spent half my life, and I haven't lived in a villa, and when I entered the Tobu Hall, it was only 1,000 million yuan. Chu Tiannan breathed a sigh of relief. He tried his best to calm down the excitement in his heart, and did not talk about other things. The 5,000 million startup money alone can solve the urgent need. It must be known that in the warrior store alone, what Chu Tiannan needs is sky-high prices. That's not even counting the controller store. How is it? Do you want to enter the East Martial Art Museum? At this time, Wang Jinhai looked at the young man in black in front of him, feeling a little apprehensive. Although he thought that the benefits provided by the Tobu Hall were already considerable, but Wang Jinhai was afraid that something might happen. And this accident is by Wugwen. This time, the East Wuguan went to Nanchang District to dig directly to Chu Tiannan, and the people in the Baiwugwan would not give up. After all, he has the level of a junior martial artist, and he is still self-taught. Such geniuses, with a little guidance, progress by leaps and bounds. The hope of becoming Wuzong is great, as Valkyrie is the top power of human beings, but it is too difficult to cultivate. Even geniuses are not dejected. On the contrary, Wuzong is the main force of mankind. Obviously, even though Chu Tiannan is a genius, many high-level martial arts officials still have no hope for the martial god class. After all, that road is too difficult. At this time, Wang Jinhai was worried that the Baiwugwan might have secretly given benefits, and he was worried that the benefits would be better. It is very likely to lose the talented young man in front of him. After a while, Chu Tiannan put the contract on the tea table in front of him, picked up a pen, and said with a smile, "I choose to book in."